I had friends that come here from other cities and they think how beautiful Chicago. I said, yeah, Chicago is beautiful. It's beautiful on the outside, but it's rotten on the inside. You just don't know. Be here for a while and you'll find out.
At the time, I'd been on the job 16 years. I'd been a detective for 14 years. When I heard the most inhumane outcry coming from the lieutenant's office in the robbery unit. And when I opened the door and entered the office, I saw a male black subject sitting on the floor with his pants and his shorts down to his knees. His right hand was handcuffed to a sizzling, smoking hot radiator. Standing over him was Jon Burge, the person I now know to be Detective Jon Burge.
Mr. Burge, would you state your full name and spell it for the record, please?
Jon, J-O-N, middle initial G as in George, Burge, B-U-R-G-E.
You know who Jon Burge was, don't you? You know who he was. He was the police commander on the South Side who was responsible for torturing and beating confessions out of more than 100 African-American men.
We received some anonymous letters from a detective who worked with Jon Burge. And in those letters, he informed us that this was a much larger conspiracy by Burge and men under his command to torture suspects, black suspects here in the city of Chicago.
I think what was surprising was the kind of abandon that I was told that Burge and his cohorts used.
It's almost like charging up a battery. You got a negative and a positive. They hooked it up, they cranked it up.
And you crank the generator until you get enough voltage to send the shock into the person's body.
Dozens of allegations, including things like electrocution, electroshock, baggings, suffocation with plastic bags.
What the other one did was went and got a plastic typewriter cover and put it over my head and smothered me while the other one hit me until I passed out.
The United Nations Committee on Torture has now brought Chicago into the mix with regard to Guantanamo Bay, with regard to Iraq and other atrocities of torture that Chicago is mentioned, and the failure to prosecute has been recently mentioned by the United Nations Committee Against Torture.
Everybody knows, and we've done this for 20 years. We all know every police officer on the street is embarrassed by what Lieutenant Burge has done and gotten away with.
Vast majority of police officers in the city of Chicago are professional and are devastated and hurt by those rogue police officers.
The most powerful individuals here in the city of Chicago and the county of Cook were implicated and involved, and chose to commend Burge for years on end, rely on his torture confessions to get convictions in various criminal cases.
Well, you know, the mayor was the prosecutor. He was the state's attorney of Cook County when this all happened, and he can't say that he was unaware of it because his own chief of police brought it to his attention.
The issue was, in some ways, less bringing the right people to justice than bringing some people to what appeared to be justice.
When occasionally I've attempted to talk to a prosecutor, the response I get if I show very strong evidence that someone didn't do it is, if he didn't do this, he did something else.
Nothing around the Burge issue has ever been done to win justice for the victims or bring Burge to justice without activists pushing for it.
A line that Dr. King used to quote, "Truth crushed to the earth will rise again."
Jon Burge is not going to lay up and rest and sleep every night thinking he's out of this, because we are not going to quit, and he may as well understand that.
Now, with regard to the electric shock device that you used on Andrew Wilson and many of the other suspects, did you subsequently dispose of that?
I'll adapt my initial response as my answer.
And you take the Fifth Amendment?
Yes.
You taking the Fifth Amendment on that, sir?
Yes.
You taking the Fifth?
Yes, the Fifth Amendment, Counselor.
You take the Fifth Amendment?
Yes.
You refuse to answer based on the Fifth Amendment?
Yes.